Okay, perfect. All right, thanks. So again, today is about the power of your reputation, right? And just a little short intro here for you. Again, my name is Sean McMean, the founder of Vinnie Mac. I've been working with restoration clients for going close to 8 years now. And so I have 17 years of experience in the marketing industry, and our team has helped hundreds of other companies get more phone calls. And your reputation is a big, big part of that. I've also had the opportunity to write a book about internet marketing for restoration contractors, and we actively host a podcast where we bring on guests to that podcast to share industry insights. Okay, so I do have that podcast, and that's the name of the podcast, Restoration Marketing Secrets. And in the book, if you go to our website, I'll give you that link at the end of this webinar. You can get a free copy of that book. And if you own a restoration business, I'd love to have you on the podcast to share your story and anything that you'd like to share about your experience. We have helped tons of companies across the country. Here's a little sample of those. But what I really want to do here today, and that bold promise I said to you, was I want to help you get 50 reviews by the end of this year. And if you follow these strategies and tactics, you're going to have the opportunity to do that. Okay. And so if you want to get those tips and everything, please pay attention over the next 30 minutes. Try not to be too distracted with cell phones. And I know you guys run your businesses and everything, but let's focus here. And this 30 minutes, I promise you, will be well worth it. Just some insights here. So working with so many companies in the industry, some of the common things that we see is there's tons of competition in your local area. It's a high cost to generate a lot of phone calls that come in, right? And you have these up and down results. And there's really no proven process or strategy sometimes, and it's confusing about where you should focus your efforts. And so what this really results into, and it's common issues we see, is that about 10% of the companies are getting 20 or 90% of the jobs out there in revenue. And so what I want to do is make sure I help you increase your visibility so that you can flip that around where you have a strategy. Today's strategy we're going to talk about is the strategy of reputation, right? And so this is a common situation here that we see is, at the bottom left-hand side there, no one knows who your company is, right? Because maybe you have done work for them, they're just not aware, and maybe they have a problem and they're looking for someone to help them, and they might not know who your company is. On the flip side, you have situations where companies are paying per leads, and that only lasts for so long. There's no, there's lots of competition out there, right? And then as you continue to grow your business, there's the referral side of things, right? Ultimately, where you want to be is this best known company in your area, right? And so that's part of the strategy of building that reputation, and that's the power of reputation. Okay, so let's talk about it. Is your reputation important? In the chat, put a 10 in there if you think your reputation is important for your company. Seems like a no-brainer question, but I just want to take a poll here. Is your reputation important for your company? Put a 10 in the chat. This goes, there we go. Thank you guys for confirming that. Obviously, it's important, right? And will a positive reputation help you grow your business? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Okay. And so Fred, you had a question. It's hard to know where we actually are in terms of reputation or in terms of how many of the available leads we're getting. Okay, yeah, we'll definitely talk about those things, and I'll stay to the end if you have any specific questions to focus on your end, Fred. Okay, so a positive reputation in your community and online will absolutely help you grow your business. So let's take a poll here. If you know offhand, how many reviews do you have online for your business? You don't have to say your business name, but go ahead and type in the chat there how many reviews you have for your business. So Fred has 250. That's great. That's great. Thanks for sharing. Abby, you have over 30. Vicky, over 68. Okay. Around 67. Great. Great. So those are great numbers. Now let's look at some industry averages. Let's see how some of those responses hold up to some of the competition in your area. And I'm sure if you know your number of reviews, you've seen in your area what your competitors have, right? Um, and I'll get to why this is important in just a second. But here's some research that we've done. And I'm not going to name the competitors, but you could probably guess by some of the colors out here. These are large competitors with multi-locations, and on average I looked at 100 locations on each competitor. Okay, and the reality of the fact is that on average the first competitor with over 100 locations, well over probably close to 1,000, has on average 99.45 reviews. Second, a large competitor has around 41, and the third is around 42. And if you look at your local markets, you're going to have some franchises and independents all over the place there. Okay, thankfully, some of you guys that posted in there, you're 250 reviews from Fred, right? Abby and Vicky, you've got Abby's close to that average. And then, so you have, what the reality of the situation is that many of your competitors, if you're not focused on reviews, many of them are focused on reviews, and it has a dramatic impact. And I'm going to show you why that has an impact for you. Okay. And so this is just a poll research that I just did last week. Okay. So at minimum, we want to be competing with our competitors. And then the second factor of this is that on average, the review scores for those same competitors, you can see 4.7 for that extremely large competitor out there. And then you've got 4.64, 4.74, right? And so if your review score is any higher than that, obviously it's a contributing factor to people going with your business. I call it the Amazon effect. How many people go out to Amazon and actually purchase products or purchase services without any reviews or with a low rating? It just doesn't happen. And so people are trained to look for that reputation when they make decisions. And same thing goes for your businesses as well. So I just want to kind of share with you those insights. But here's an important thing I want you to look at is when you go out and search in your area, how many reviews do your competitors have? And if you struggle to compete with that number, you're going to struggle to get as many phone calls as they are. Okay. It's just a simple fact of it. It's not an impossible scenario to overcome. And so it goes down to the question, why does your reputation matter? Number one, if somebody has a disaster, they have a flood in their home, pipe break, if you're a roofing person, they have roofing damage, they're gonna, on the flip side, they're gonna call a plumber. They're going to either call their insurance company or they're going to search online on their phone, right? And so what we're specifically talking about today is if that person does go out there and search on Google, which is the most widely used platform, Google wants to match that searcher with local companies that are going to help them. And that's how people keep coming back to Google. That's how we always use, that's why we use Google, is to find solutions to problems, right? And so how does Google know that your company can help that searcher? There's a couple different ways. Number one, it's what you say about your company, and then what other people say about your company, right? So what other people say is your reputation and your reviews out there, right? And so what we know is that your reputation matters number one, because it helps you increase your visibility online. It helps you build a local brand presence and helps you with repeat business and referrals, right? So everybody that shared those numbers, clearly you understand that reputation has an impact, right? For those other ones that maybe didn't share the numbers, it's something that I really want to drive home to you, that no matter how good of a service you provide, if you can't back it up with other people saying you do a good job, you're going to struggle. Okay. And so let's dive into the 3 keys to success with this. As I said before, it's about visibility. So implementing a strategy where that you have multiple fishing poles in the water so that you can get multiple bites, right? Reviews help with Google search, Google Maps, Google local service ads, and social media. Okay. The second component is your branding. Having a company is one thing, but having a local brand that's recognized is really a game changer, right? And so if you are promoting your company values, your services, your reputation, and your experience, you're going to build trust and awareness. And so finally, that in piece there is a reputation. Building your reputation in your community and online is critical. Right. And so what will separate your company from anybody else that just started a company or just dabbling in the industry, right? And so it really helps amplify all of these other things that you're going to be doing online. And so, as I said before, here's your, when you do a search, so water damage restoration Chicago, I think somebody said they were in Chicago. Um, and if you do a search in Chicago, you're going to have at the top of the page, Google guaranteed. You're going to have your pay-per-click or Google Ads section. Then you're going to have your map section, and then you're going to have organic. As you can see, that top 50% of the page, two of those main sections has the review stars there, right? So that's why your reputation matters. And that's why it's critically important in order to turn the page there and make sure that you get better results on Google Maps. These are some examples of some of our clients where they are showing up all over the place because not only are they doing some marketing efforts, but they are also doing reputation to help further emphasize that. It's just like running a marathon. If you want to hop, go ahead and scream from the rooftop that I provide these services, but don't back it up with other people saying that you are a great company to work with. If you do both, you're going to be able to run that marathon and hopefully finish that marathon, right? And get more phone calls. As I said before, Google Local Services, if you've ever ran Google Local Services, this is a great platform because it links in with your reputation online, and you can see some of the numbers in Dallas, some of the numbers in Indianapolis of who's showing at the top. Usually those companies with the most reputation and reviews online, right? And so those hold true to those research numbers that I had. They're showing you the number of reviews. Now, there's a real question here that does come up is, are some of these reviews fake? It very well could be some of these reviews are fake. I would not suggest going down that route. We want to make sure we're building a 5-star reputation in our community. And so what we know so far is that reputation manager matters. Positive reputation is going to help us grow. You need to be able to compete with your competitors. Your review rating is extremely important. And the more reviews you get, it's going to compound the efforts you're doing from a marketing standpoint and visibility or local brand presence. Okay, so now that we've got all of that out of the way, how do we go and build that 5-star reputation, right? I think it's a no-brainer here that there's 4 things that come into play with this. It is about providing amazing experience and amazing service. It's about community involvement. It's about asking for the reviews and then promoting the reputation that you have, okay? And so let's dive into each one of those. This might seem like common sense, provide an amazing service and experience. That's ultimately what we're trying to all do, right? But I'm sure maybe some of you might be shocked, but it's shocking to me to see that many people do not answer the phone professionally. And so when you answer the phone unprofessionally, or you just miss those phone calls, you have zero chance of gaining that business and having that person have an amazing experience with you. So starts with providing, answering that phone professionally. Number 2, you want to make sure you do what you say you're going to do. Our reputation as individuals and company and business owners, we have to do what we say we're going to do. Pretty common sense there, right? And then communicate, over communicate, so that way you have the opportunity to request that review and get that review from that client that you've worked with. Here's the other thing is that the first time somebody gives you a compliment is the best time to ask for that review, unless it's an emergency situation and their house is flooded. Obviously, you have to weigh the best time there. But as soon as they give you that compliment, you know that they're having a positive experience with your company. So do not be afraid if you've solved the immediate issue to say, hey, we want to help other people just like you. Can I send you a review request? And when you get time, can you go ahead and post that for me? Okay. So the second component of this is community involvement. So volunteer in your community, right? And so I know it might be difficult when you're trying to grow your business and doing those things, but you've got to be seen. You've got to be seen in your community by doing maybe some volunteer work. You're a team doing some volunteer work or sponsoring events. You just have to go above and beyond nowadays to get your company out there. For instance, my son plays baseball, and we sponsor with a sign in the outfield for that, right? It costs us a couple $100, but ultimately people are seeing that out there, right? If you have your wrap trucks, that's an important part too. The second component is building a network, building, relationships with plumbers, property managers, insurance agents, right? And so people start to know your company. And then the third component, wrap those trucks if you can. It's if you're just starting out, yes, put a magnet on there or some sort of identifying mark so people, when you're driving around to help people, you are seen. Get involved in those local events. So now let's get to the one of the biggest parts of this is asking for the reviews. How do you structure this in a situation that you're going to have success? Number one, it's not just the business owner or the tech's responsibility to ask for those reviews. It is absolutely everybody that is in the company and that collects a paycheck is responsibility. And if you, as the business owner, believe that you want to have a successful company long term, you have to get your team to buy in. Some people use a strategy saying, "Oh, I'm going to give you $25 every time you get a review out there." That works short term. Ultimately, what you want to make sure you're doing is have them understand that the goal of us staying busy and staying in business is that everybody knows that we provide an amazing service, and it's your responsibility, whether you do the work on the ground or whether you cut the checks to people that you need to pay on a weekly basis to that help that you're providing work to and all those things, right? So in the accounting department, how many checks are they writing that they could then ask that person they're handing that check to, "Hey, we want to help other people in our area. Would you mind submitting a review for me?" Right? And make it easy for them by sending them a text message or email. Everybody has to do it. So text messages and emails are the best way of asking for the review. How many times you've probably asked for a review face to face with somebody and they say, "Yeah, no problem, I'll absolutely submit a review," and then they ghost you or you don't hear from them again, right? And so asking for that review is a critical component, but get it on their phone. So that way, when it goes, how many text messages do people see on their phone versus emails? Text messages by far the best way. And so I'm going to show you exactly how to phrase that text message to have the most success. The next component is doing review cards or NFC scan codes. Everybody's seen codes like that these little review codes that you can put your Google link on there and you put it up to your phone and you can scan it. Well, you can also use a QR code that's branded towards your company. If you stay towards the end of this, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get that review card at no cost. There's zero commitment there. I'm going to show you how to print those out and everything. So, and then the final component of this is negative reviews happen. They will happen. In this industry, there's challenges with insurance, and it's a stressful time for your clients, right? And so if a negative review happens, you can get those removed. If somebody slanders a specific individual for your company, or somebody does extremely negative sort of direct feedback on there, you can get them removed and you can report those to Google. We've had a lot of success with that lately. It didn't used to be the case, but if that review is not removed within a couple of days, then make sure you respond to that review and try to turn that into a positive situation by professionally responding and not go on the defense. And at the minimum, call that person that submitted it and see if you can right the ship there, right? So how do I ask for a review via text and email? This is what we recommend to start with, and then you can customize for your specific needs. In your reputation software, if you don't have a reputation software, I recommend you getting that, but at minimum, if you have a cell phone, you should be able to send a text to a client. So start with their name, and maybe you can provide a little bit more personal context there about the situation and say who it is, right? And then seeding the 5-star review experience there. Some people's ratings between 4 and 5 are different all over the place, but what you can say is we strive to provide a 5-star experience and we'd love to get your feedback, right? And then you ask for help. And here's the thing, if you go to someone and say, "Hey, can you give me a review?" Sure, I'll give you a review. But if you ask for help, people generally want to help you if you've helped them, right? And so as I show here on the screen, we'd love to help other people just like you. And the best way you can do that is by letting people know about your experience with our company and posting a review for us online. And you can send this via text, you can send this via email, and this is the most simple way of asking for a review. And you can ask a couple times because people are busy in their lives, especially after they had a traumatic experience, right? And so um, this is a great way to actually ask for the review. The other way you can do it is having a review postcard, right? So everyone on your team that's out doing a job can have these in their truck, and you can brand it with your logo. You can have a QR code that then sends it directly to your business. We do this for all of our clients. We send them postcards on a regular basis, so that way they have the ability to hand something to the client, and that it's branded to their company. And this helps generate a lot of reviews for our clients and is a very effective strategy. So that's review postcards. The other thing is here, we want to promote those reviews after we ask for them. So how do we promote them and where do we promote them? Number one, you want to promote them across social media. Social media is not going to drive a lot of phone calls for your services, because think about it, when people have an emergency, they're probably not going to go to social media. They might, but they will typically go to Google to search. So social media gives you brand recognition signals back to your company, Google Maps, and to your website, right? And so we want to promote those across social media. We want to promote them on your website. And you want to have a review page on your website that people can see all the reviews that you had and promote them across Google Maps post. The third component here is if you can get video testimonials from your clients by just literally taking the phone when they've given you a compliment and you've solved the immediate issues and just recording on your phone. It doesn't have to be a professional sit down review thing. It can be just using your cell phone saying, hey, we're here with so-and-so. They just recently had a flood. We've restored everything back. Can you share your experience about what happened, how it was to work with our company, and would you recommend our company to someone else? Those three questions are all you need to ask. What was the problem? What was the solution? And would you recommend us? You take those videos, you put them on your review page on your website, you put them across your social media, and it builds trust signals and brand awareness signals for your company. So as I said before, social media, here's some examples. You can make it as simple or as complex as you want, but these are the 4 platforms that we share our reviews across for our clients and have a lot of success. If you've noticed nowadays, if you go into Google Maps, there's actually the ability to link these platforms into your Google Maps profile. Why is that? It's important from Google to understand that you are a brand, you're a local company, and that's why they want to link your social media aspects in there. And they actually pull those ranking signals in to help you improve Google Maps rankings. So we've done a webinar recently about Google Maps. So if you go to our website, restorationmarketing.com, you can actually see more details on specific Google Maps strategies for rankings. The other aspect here is you want to promote them on your website, right? And so there's different ways that you can do this. Here's a couple examples here where you actually promote them across all the pages of your website. And you can see here, if you look closely, what are these two clients of ours doing well? They are getting consistent reviews every single month, and at least 4 to 5 reviews per month. And so one client has 985, one has 174. So the key here is to make sure you're looking at your competitors and doing a consistent strategy, and then sharing this across multiple areas by videos, as I said before, having a YouTube channel, putting those videos on there and then transcribing them. Google can read what's on these videos, right? And so if you talk about your company providing an amazing service and then somebody else talks about it as well, Google is a smart platform, and it's going to start recommending your company, okay? So why does reputation matter? It really improves your online visibility. It will give you a positive local brand presence, and ultimately you're going to get more referrals. You're going to get more repeat business, okay? And we know this over the last 8 years, and even more so in 2024. Google has made reviews a huge component of whether they're going to recommend your company or whether they're going to recommend one of your competitors. So the key on the power of the reputation is we want to make sure we take something out of this. Okay, here's some of the components I mentioned here in the webinar. Is the community involvement, right? So some of the things that you can work on with that, some of the things you can work on for asking for reviews and how to ask for reviews, or what sort of templates you need to set up for your team to ask for the review or to respond to the review. And then ways that you can promote your reviews online, or on your website, or building those testimonial reviews. And so what I'd really love to do is have you take out a piece of paper, and what are the 3 things you want to focus on over the next couple months to end off 2024 to help you, that you haven't already implemented. I'd love some feedback in the chat there. If there's something that you want to do that you're not currently doing that I mentioned, if you have something in mind, go ahead and type that in the chat there. But at minimum, take out that piece of paper, write down 1, 2, or 3 things that you don't have in place now that you'd like to implement. And then the second component of that, who on your team or who are you going to work with in order to help you implement those things? So, at the end of the day, we've spent almost 30 minutes on this webinar. I want to make sure you have some action items to get out of here. So if you don't have review postcards, I've got a solution for you that is going to give you those review postcards in just a second. If you don't have reviews on your website, make sure you note that. If you are not involved in community events, what's one event you could attend? Okay, so go ahead and do that if you would, please. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we take action. Never put off tomorrow what you can do today. Quote by Thomas Jefferson. Love that quote. Abby, thank you very much. Text message requests and review postcards. Yeah, huge. If you start doing text message to request reviews, you will see an uptick in that for sure. So right now I want to open it up for any questions that anybody has while we've got a couple more slides to go over here. But any questions that you have about building your reputation, any of the things that I talked about today, anything that that you might have. Fred, I'm going to go back to your comment there. You had said it's hard to know where we actually get it, where we're actually are in terms of reputation, or in terms of how many of the available leads we're getting. Okay. So you posted in there you have a 250 reviews online, which is really good, but ultimately it depends on what your competitors are at in your market, right? And so I'd be happy to have a more in-depth conversation with you unless you want to talk specifically. Is that on Google or okay? You said 10%, 90. How do I know what those numbers are? It's over 8 years worth of experience. I've talked to tons of restoration companies across the country, and the biggest question I have, the biggest thing that I see is that ultimately most companies don't have a strategy in place to show up online. And it is ultimately the biggest issue I see is the visibility aspect, right? And so there's only so many spots on the first page of Google, and specifically within that first top 50%, right? And so if you're not showing up in Google local services, if you're not showing up in pay-per-click, if you're not showing up in Google Maps, you're in the bottom 90%, because depending on your area, there's only 3 companies that are going to show up in Google Maps, 2 that show in Google local services, right? And typically 1 or 2 in pay-per-click. And there's typically, depending on the size of the area, there could be 50, 60 competitors in there, right? Some of those competitors have different strategies, but I'm specifically talking about online. Okay. And so that's how I know those numbers. All right. So what I promised you here is I want to help you get 50 reviews by the end of this year. And one of those things that you can do right now is if you scan this code on your screen, fill out a simple form for me, give me your logo. I'm going to send you the way that you can print these postcards, and ultimately you're going to have 50 postcards that you can hand out to people and ask that question, whether these are clients, whether it's partners that you've worked with, whether it is people in your community, people at church. Anybody and everybody can give you a review if they recommend you to help that you provided a good service, right? So There's nothing against asking for reviews from people that you know, your clients, or people in your community. And so what we'll do is brand this towards your colors, whether your companies are red and white or black. We'll brand it to your colors. We're going to send this to you. There's no cost for it. And you go and scan that code there. You fill out the form, give us your logo, give us your website, and we'll have this over to you in a few days. And many of our clients, we've got a client specifically that went from 100 reviews to 900 because they got their team bought in. They use review postcards, and ultimately that is going to help you reach that additional 50 reviews by the end of this year. So go and scan that code if you would, please. And fill out that form, and we'll get you those review postcards. We'll get you the design of those, and I'll show you exactly how you can print this off of a software called Canva for about $10, and they'll ship them to you for free. So that's my resource I'm going to give you. If you, like I said before, we work with a lot of companies across the country, and ultimately, if you have questions, more specific questions you maybe didn't want to ask on here, then go ahead and go to restorationmarketing.com/calendar, and you can book a call specifically with me. And I would love to dig into your specific situation and give you some pointers on how you can move the needle in your space and get you more phone calls. Or you can give us a call at 314-582-5210. And we would be happy to chat with you on your specific situation. So, as I promised, I went a little over 30 minutes here. We're at 3 minutes, but I want to open it up for questions. If you have any other questions out there, then go ahead and post those in the chat. There will be a replay we'll send out, but if you do want to then take advantage of those free postcards design that we're going to send you, you can go and scan that code there, and we will get that to you within a few days here, so that you can have the ability to get those 50 reviews as I shared. So any questions, Abby? We received a 1-star review from an ex-employee and brought my score down on Google Maps. Can I remove that review? All right, so that's definitely a difficult situation with an employee. The first thing I would say is probably call that employee and just try to turn that situation around. If that's not an option, and they posted specific calling out somebody's name within your company or slandered that person, then when you go to that review on your Google Maps, you will have the ability to post there's a little 3 dots there, and you can select that this person, it was either spam or somebody slandered or talked negative about my company. And we've seen some recent success with Google removing those reviews. And if that doesn't work, here's another strategy: is when you could have some other people that also report that review as such. So don't do that from the same location, but let's say somebody else in the company wants to go out there and dispute that review under their Google email address, then go ahead and select that option to dispute. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense, Abby. And if they don't take it down, then just turn it into a positive. Respond professionally. And that's the best thing you can do, is respond professionally and get more reviews to overturn that. Everybody's going to get negative reviews at some point in their business, and those are a couple of options for you to help sit with that situation. Okay, another question: what's the best time to ask for reviews, and do you recommend multiple times if necessary? Yeah, so the best time to ask for a review is when somebody gives you a compliment for the first time, as long as it's not an emergency situation. So let's say that after you came out there, dealt with the emergency situation, they said, "Hey, I really appreciate you coming out here and being out here in 60 minutes," or whatever that was. That's the best time for your team to say, hey, I know we're still working on the job here, but we really want to help other people like you. Here's our review postcards. Would you mind scanning this and actually giving us a review online so that we can connect with other people in your similar situation, right? We know that there's complications in restoration jobs, whether if you're just doing the mitigation or the rebuilds. Complication is typically in the rebuild side of thing. And so don't wait to the end of the job to ask for that review. If they're happy with your services, you have a feeling, right? And you can certainly ask a couple times. Don't be annoying with it, but ask a couple times because people do get busy. I mean, I've got 4 kids myself, and a busy day, right? I own a business, and so ultimately, sometimes you have to be reminded. But if you ask in a helpful manner, they're more likely to help you, other than just saying, "Hey, post a review for me online." Right? So hopefully that answers your question there. Okay, any other questions that you might have? Does not look like there's any, but if you do, you can certainly reach me at restorationmarketing.com, and you can submit a contact form on there, or you can schedule a meeting. Yeah, Vicky, no problem. Thank you for joining, and the postcard design. Be happy to send that to you. If there's anything at all that you need, feel free to reach us at restorationmarketing.com. And there's lots of webinars on our website that you can look back on: Google Maps strategies, website strategies, and lots of different topics on there. So thank you again for your time. Hope you got some value out of this. And if you need anything, again, reach us at restorationmarketing.com.